Hello everyone. Today I'm just going to talk about one of the case scenario which happen most of the time. I'll say not most of the time, but it can be happen with anyone in the world who's using some kind of a instance on AWS, and somehow any of your developer by mistake lost the key, like you just connected with your private key to the EC2 instance, and somehow your developer or by yourself that you're working on some kind of a production environment, you have working some kind of a Jenkins server, you creating your own pipelines, you working have a massive amount of workloads on that particular instances, and somehow uh, you didn't done any redistribution of the copy, and anyone in your team or in your company have by mistake like delete the particular you can say the private key, which is the key pair which is used to connect with your EC2 instance via CLI. So today in this video I'm just going to show you in a try to show you in very descriptive manner like how can you reback, like you can retrack your EC2 instance key pair if you lost it by sudden, like any chance, like maybe you download the key pair in your laptop or in your computer, and somehow your computer crash or some natural disaster, or somehow the human deleted by himself, I don't know, so many cases can be happen. Okay, so here this is the case scenario which we're going to do it today. So we have one of the EC2 instance where we are doing some kind of a Jenkins server work, and now just assume that you have download key pair in your local system, and somehow um, you deleted that particular key pair, and now you are not able to connect with your CLI, and without CLI, without key pair, you're not able to connect with your EC2 instance, and without connecting you cannot do any work on your that particular production EC2 instance. So what we're going to do, we just going to retrieve back to the key pair again. What we're just going to do, like we just going to create another temporary instance, and in that particular instance we just going to attach the EBS volume from the our official, or you can say where our production workload is uh, left. So we're just going to copy the EBS volume from here, and we're just going to attach this EBS volume to this particular temporary instance, and then we'll just going to copy mount all the files into this instance, and then we're just going to copy the authorized key from the SSH directory directly from this particular instance to this one, so that with the new key pair we can able to run this particular EC2 instance. So I hope you understand some kind of a scenario what's going on here. If you're not, just follow me on the lecture and you will going to see. So I'm just in here with my AWS console right now, so I'm just going to show you like let's just go to the EC2 console, and now I'm just going to launch a new uh, pair. So let's just go to the running instances. I have so many instances which is currently running on. Don't worry about if you don't see so many of you them, depending upon you, like whether you'd run it before or not. So I'm just going to launch a new instance here, and okay, and just for the demonstration of the purpose I'm using the free tier here. And you make sure whatever the AMI you're using, you have to launch the same EMI. And just for example, so I'm just using the Amazon Linux 2 AMI, so I have to launch the temporary instance with the same kind of a configuration. So this one is our first one where I'm not changing anything. I'm just going to add the tag saying development environment, and now after adding the tag I'm just not changing any security groups. I'm just using the by default security groups. uh, if you see kind of this kind of a messages, never ever do it, like never, your security groups never be open to the world. It's really a bad practice if you working in a company or you have some kind of a very confidential file on your instances and you're allowing the security groups to be working open to the world, which is really you're risking your own instances and your work towards the uh, compromising your own security, which is really a bad practice. So never ever do it. It's just for the demonstration purpose, so that's why I don't care about any security group right now, but for the production or any kind of a work you are doing on, never do this thing. Okay, so just launch the server here. So we are creating a new key pair and saying def pair. Let's just say key pair. Okay, so I'm just going to download this key pair here. Okay, and now just going to launch the particular EC2 instance. And in the meanwhile, it's launching the instance. Let me just copy. So I just created a new directory called EC2 where I'm just going to copy now the key pair which I just downloaded with the name def key pair to inside my this directory. So now we have only one def key pair. If you want to see, you can see how the file this key pair, the private key file looks like. I'm not going to go deep inside like how to understand these things. So now you can connect to this server. Let me just show you how to connect it. So click on the actions. First you have to select this one, and let me just change the name. So this is my dev production dev environment. Let's just state the dev environment. Okay, now click on connect, and you have seen 3 ways. Either you can connect with the instant connect using in the browser, whatever the browser you're using, or using the session manager, or using the SSH client. I'll always use the SSH client because that's the best way which I feel. So now we can see our key. Before moving forward, I have to change the permissions. So let's just change the permission. So now we change the permissions to the read only, and now I'm just going to connect to my server. And now if you see here, we connected to our server, and this is the development environment instance. And let's just assume that in this particular instance I'm running some kind of a Jenkins pipelines, or you can assume that you are working or your developers are working on this particular instance. And now after somehow, like after some days, I don't know, something happened, and your developer come to you and saying, oh, okay, I just lost somehow my private key. What should I do? That's the case scenario. Like, and now without the key pair, you are not able to work on the instance because you're not able to connect to the AWS EC2 instance via CLI. So that's a whole case scenario just happened. So for that thing, now what we're going to do, I'm just going to show you. Let's just finish this thing. Sometimes it takes times to update everything, or maybe it depends upon my internet. Okay, so now it's updated. I'm just going to log out because I don't need anything from here. Okay, I just and if you see here, I only have one key pair, and I'm just going to delete right now, because the reason I'm going to delete, so that I'm not able to log in. Because now if I'm going to try to again to connect to the same EC2 instance, either it's going to say me permission denied, or you are not able to because you don't have the key here, and I don't have the key now because I just deleted, and it's not, I don't have any copy, I didn't copy anywhere else, so my whole work just got stuck. So what we're going to do now, so let's just go back to the running instances. And before we move to the forward, so if you see, don't worry about all of them, just focus on the dev env which we just created right now. And if you see here, let me just show you. So we need some of the details, you can say some of the values which we're going to use it for launching our second instance. So what will happen just right now, so this is your dev env EC2 instance, and this is connected to the EBS-volume. I'm just going to show you right now where is this EBS-volume is in this particular in console. So just copy the instance ID which we need to require later on as well. So I just copy the instance ID. Let me just see it's copied or not. So it's copied clearly. Okay, now apart from these details, I don't need anything. So now in terms of security, because I didn't done too much anything, I just need to know about your VPC, because if you're using your own VPC, you have to check the subnet ID as well. And if you see about the availability zone, my availability zone is US each 1C, which I need to require, so that's why I copied. Let me just see it's copied. Okay, now it's copied as well. And now In terms of storage, I can see my root device name is the dev xvda, and you can see the volume ID, this one, which ends with the F8. So if you go back or scroll down to the Elastic Block Store, you will going to see the volumes tab. And when you click on the volumes tab, you will see the F8, this one. So let me just put the name, because I always put the name with F8 with the instance ID together. So let me just put the name so that it's going to be easily readable for us. So F8 dev nv. This is our volume ID, which is attached to our dev environment. This is our dev environment, and this is our EBS volume. EBS volumes are nothing, it's just a virtual hard disk which is used to store your data and all, and we have different types of provision, journal, cold storage, whatever, different types of, depending upon your need and your production environment. So right now your development environment is working on this one, but now you are not able to access because I just show you, you get the permission denied because you tried it, and this is your EBS volume. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to detach this EBS volume from this EC2 instance. So let's just first detach it. So I'm just going to detach right now. I cannot detach. The reason why, because the instance is still running. So you have to first go to the instance and stop it and then detach it. If your instance is running, you are not able to detach it. So if you see the status here of the instance state, it's still running. So let's just click on the instance ID and click on the actions and stop the instance. Okay. Now, once the instance is stopped, now you able to detach the EBS volume. So let's just go back to the EBS volume, click on the F8 dev env, click on the actions button, detach the volume. Now I'm just going to detach the particular volume. The reason why it's again showing the error, because sometimes it takes time to detach it. You have to refresh it a couple of minutes or to do it later on, because sometimes what happen, you're the behind in AWS, it's because of some latency delay or some kind of issues happen. That's why like your console is thinking it's still attachable, it's not detached. So again, if you're going to click now, hopefully you will going to detach it. See, so it depends upon, like, you have to wait like half a minute before you jump in, because sometimes it gives you the error like the one which I just show you. So now it's detached. Click on refresh button here, so you can now see it's detached, but it's not able to attach because it's taking time. Okay, in the meantime, what am I going to do? So what we have done till far, our Amazon EC2 instance is stopped, where we have the development environment and which is connected to the EBS volume, but now we detach it. So it's not in my EC2 instance, I have nothing because I detached the root volume. Okay, now come back and let's just go to the instances and launch a new instance with a new with a temporary name, let's just say. And now we need to know about the particular this thing about our what kind of a instance we launch and where we launch it. So I remember I launched the Amazon Linux 2 AMI, so I'm just going to use the same one. And in terms of the general purpose, it's fine, we don't need to worry about. Now we have to worry about the configure instance details, where we have to select the particular network. So as I mentioned that I was using the US East 1C, so I'm just going to change my subnet here to US 1 EC. Just for the demonstration purpose, I'm using the by default VPC, but if you are creating or using your own VPC, you have to see which subnet ID or which in subnet availability zone you are in. So you have to use because both of the instances must be placed in the same availability zone. If they are not in the same availability zone, you are not able to do it. So make sure this thing is very important. Okay, so we don't need anything else here. I'm not going to worry about the EBS volume right now because I don't need to encrypt. I'm just going to put the name, just saying temp dev environment. Okay, and I'm using the same security group because just for the demonstration purpose, so I don't worry about whether it's open to world or not. But again, I'm saying it's not a good practice to do it in this way. You always have to specific IPs which are going to be available. And if you want to see how bad is your security groups or how bad is your security is compromising, you can always go inside the either the config or in the trust advisors. These are the really good apps, or you can say the services provided by AWS, which going to show you where your security is compromising. And similarly, you can use it here as well. So I recommend, like always, if you are totally new to the AWS service, it's fine. But if you have, especially to the sysops administrators, this is a really good service. You must use it. Like if you want to know about where your security compliance are and how like your security groups or everything is working, like is it fully secure or not. Okay, let's back to the topic. Okay, and I'm come back to the EC2 instance. Okay, I think I think I didn't launch it. Oh my god. Okay. Sorry guys, I just have to launch it again because of this thing I forget to launch it. Okay, let's just launch it again. Just select the EC2 instance, select pair, and as I mentioned again, so we're just going to select the UC East 1C because I have 1C here in my the another one. Let's just don't worry about this. Let's just add the dev env temp and saying dev env temp. Okay, and now I'm just going to use the existing security group. Okay, and review launch, and now I'm just going to launch it before I move it. Okay, so now we're just going to create a new pair because I'm assuming we lost our dev key pair, because if you see here, we don't have the key pair now, so we have to create a new pair. So let's just create dev new key pair. Okay, so I'm just going to download this key pair inside my download directory, and let's just move before we okay, let's just launch it and then move it to the directory. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy the from the downloads directory my dev new key pair to inside this directory. And again, if you want to see what's the private file looks like, you can check it out later on as well. Okay, so everything's working fine. Now we launch the temporary instance which is connected to the EBS volume. I'm just going to show you now how is this EBS volumes is attached to this one. So okay, so now click on this so to see the information about this one, and if you click on the storage, you can see the 2BC, which is the EBS volume ID for this particular instance. So let's just go back to the volumes and see where is the 2BC. It's going to come on the top because it's our latest one. I'm just going to change the name to 2BC temp. Okay, now we already know in the past steps that we already detach the EBS volume from the EC2 instance. Now what we're going to do, we're going to attach this EBS volume to this EC2 instance, which is the temporary instance we just launched it. Okay, so if we go to the EC2 instance, I'm just going to change the name so that we don't get confused because there are so many. Okay, now we have seen, okay, now it's connected. Okay, let's just see first connect to this one, and I'm just going to show you about the block structures, how it's going to look like. Let's just click on the connect. Again, I'm using the SSH client. Copy this thing and let's just open the terminal. Okay, so we have our this one. Again, you have to change the permissions to read only because it's a good practice to do it. Okay, now I'm just going to connect to my EC2 server, and now note this is our temporary server where we have nothing. all the Jenkins work or all the server development work is running on this one, which we are not able to connect because we lost our key. And here we have nothing right now. That's a very simple basic instance we just initiate just right now. Just assume that case. Okay, now what we're going to do, and now I'll just going to show you about the list block using the ls-blk. It's just going to show you how many the blocks of or the volumes is attached to your particular this particular EC2 instance. Right now I'm just going to show you with my local server as well. So if you see ls-blk, so if you see there's so many partitions as well as so many volumes I have. But if you see inside the particular this EC2 instance, we only have one, because, and that's which one? This is the one which we just saw it. I'm just going to show you again. This is the one which with the temporary name 2bc def. That's the only volume ID is attached to this EC2 instance right now. Now what we're going to do, now this EBS volume which was previously attached to the Amazon EC2, now we already detach from this EC2 instance, and now I'm just going to attach this EBS volume directly to this one. And how we're going to do it, I'm just going to show you right just now. Okay, now click on the F8 dev environment, because this one is this EBS volume. Okay, now we're just going to click on attach volume, and then you have to specify the instance ID where you want to connect it. Okay, we remember the instance ID of our running one, which is the dev temporary environment, and you see only two of them, which is the dev and the dev. So I'm just going to connect with the running one, and then you just attach. Okay, now so what we have done right now, it's detached from this one we already done in the past app, and now we are attaching this one to this temporary instance. Okay, so now it's attaching to this, and once it's going to be attached, when you open again and start again seeing your list block, which is going to show you two volumes IDs attached to this particular EC2 instance. So see, so right now previously we only see this one, and now if you see we have the xvda and xvdf. And what this actually it's saying, it's talking about the partitions. Like this particular volume has how many partitions, so it's only have one partition here, and that's it. Like I'm just going to show you again in my one so that you can have better understanding. So ls-blk, so this one, like this volume has 4 of the partitions, though that's how the partition looks like. Okay, so like the STA, you can see 4 partitions. For NVMe 0 and 1 you have like 4 partitions, and that's how the partitions I'm talking about here. So now we have 2 volumes with the 2 partitions, we have nothing. Okay, I mean sorry, 1 partition for each one. Okay, cool. Okay, now what we're going to do, don't worry whatever the steps we are following and everything, because I just created a new repository where I'm just going to put every command as well as talking about in detail the documentations, like how everything is working. So if you don't follow me yet, because I really have very less followers on my GitHub account, guys, if you like the video, please follow up and give us a thumbs up. Talk to me over a LinkedIn if you want to join. I'll just going to provide my LinkedIn ID as well as in the description below. So in this AWS EC2 repository, I'm just going to provide all the information so you can log in, like fork this one if you want to contribute, always welcome. Okay, let's come back to our main thing. Okay, so now what we have done till far, we have just detached from this and attached volume to here. Okay, now what we're going to do, we just going to go to the here. I'm just going to copy one command because I forget always this one. Yep, okay, so we already connected to our instance server here. Okay, now what we're going to do, if you go inside the mount folder, mount, you see nothing right now. See, so we have nothing here. So what we're going to do, just create a new mkdir directory where I'm just going to put inside the temp volume, which is the temporary volume. And now I just created the temporary volume, and now what will I going to do? I'm just going to so we have done this temp, we just created this one, and I'm just going to run this command. So basically what this command is doing, so if you are using the Ubuntu or Debian based Linux or Amazon Linux, then you can run the sudo mount, where you are just mounting your this particular EBS volume to this EC2 instance. And if you're using the Red Hat Linux or CentOS or Fedora or Amazon Linux 2 version, then you have to run this command, where we're just specifying some additional parameters. And this is just nothing, it's just a UUID, which is with you are providing in the mount command. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy the command and I just run it here. Okay, now if I again go here, now you see the temp file, and if you go inside, you will see all of your work, whatever you have done in your past of your EC2 instance in this one. So whatever the development production work you have done in your EC2 instance, you can see it from here, because you just attach it directly to this one. And now what we're going to do, let's just go back to our main home directory and let's just clear it up. Okay, now there are three possibility. You can do three different things. Either copy the whole your EC2 temp volume, because now you mount it here. So either you just going to work everything on this particular EC2 instance and consider as now your new dev environment, or either you can just copy the SSH key of from this particular instance to again go back to this one, so that you can again go back and your developers can work in this particular EC2 instance. So I'm just going to show you. So if you click on ls, you don't see anything, because whenever in the Amazon Linux or any kind of EC2 instance you launch, there is one .ssh hidden directory is created. And what this .ssh hidden directory have, it's contain the authorized key. So if you just type ls-h, it's going to show you the SSH directory, which is the hidden directory. And when you just go inside that particular directory, it contains the authorized key. So if you see, it's contained the authorized key, and if you see the authorization key, it's nothing, it's just your private key. So where you have all the private key of the one which we lost it. Okay, so now again you have two ways. Either you can just copy from here and create your own private key and then use it for your old EC2 instance where every of your development work is running, or either you just need to copy it again to your temp volume and then you detach it again. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'll use the third way because that's the best option, I believe. Okay, let's just go back to here. What we're going to do, we're just going to copy the .ssh inside the authorized keys to the mount to the temp volume, and inside the temp volume we have seen it previously as well. Inside the home we have the user, and inside the user again you have the SSH directory where we have the authorized keys. This authorized key is the authorized key of your new EC2 instance, which is this one, and this authorized key is the previous one which you just lost it. So you have like 3-4 ways now how you want to go back and run to the same your EC2 instance. So I'm just going to copy my new authorized key to overlap with this one, and somehow if you occurred with some kind of an error or something, make sure your permissions are right. You have to use sometimes a sudo, check your users IDs and the group IDs if you have some kind of issues, something like this. Okay, so now everything is done. We already copied the file. One thing we have to do, we just have to unmount the temp volume because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so now I just unmounted the volume, and let's just go back to our console. Okay, so this is our console, and now so what we have done, this volume, now EBS volume I can detach, because now in this particular EBS volume I have my new key pair. Okay, so what I'm going to do, click on the actions and detach volume, because I don't need it anymore, because I already done whatever I have to do. Okay, so since it is detaching, now what we're going to do, once it's going to be detached, the EBS volume is free to connect with anything. Now what we're going to do, again we're just going to, because now this EBS volume is free, because this one is our F8 dev environment, which is the official one. Now I'm again using, which is detached from this part. Now I'm again connecting this one again back to your EC2. Now once it's detached, and I'm again click on the attach volume, and now you have to specify your actual environment, which is the dev environment, not the temporary environment. Okay, now make sure, I'm just going to show you one thing more. I didn't select my device, it's showing me by default the SDF. Okay, let's just attach and see what happened. Now if you go to the instances, click on your dev environment, click on the instance ID, click on the action, start instance, it's not going to work, it's going to fail. The reason why, because we did not attach like the volume at root, which is the XVDA, if you remember at this first place. So what we have to go, you have to do, again you have to click on it, detach it, because you have to change your EBS root volume name, and let's just refresh it, because sometimes it takes time. Okay, now attach it again, select your dev environment, but this time I'm just going to change to XVDA, which is our root volume name. And now if you're going to run, now if you go to your dev environment, and now if you click on the action, and now if you're going to start, it's going to run, and you will get a green signal, that means you are running. Hooray. Okay, so I know it's a long video, but I hopefully now you understand everything. Now you able to understand, and once the status is going to be connected, everything is done, the connections are checked, you will see the connect button here. Let's just reload and see whether it's done or not. Once the instance is ready to use, it's going to be, we see the button here with the connect, which is going to tell us, okay, now it's ready to go, you can use it for your own production. So see, now we can see the connect button here. Let's just click on the connect, and I'm again going to collect with the example. Now note the thing here, it's saying with the dev key pair PEM, but we don't have this key pair PEM. So what we're going to do, we're going to open, let me just log out from this one because I don't need it anymore. And if you see here, we have the new key pair, and the SSH client sorry, SSH client show me or tell me to use the dev key pair. All you have to do is just change the key pair name here to the dev key new pair. Okay, so I'm just going to change the new key pair and delete the old key pair. So I'm using the new key pair, I'm able to enter into my new official EC2 instance, where my all the production or development work is running on. And now once I'm just going to click OK here, and I'm able to connect, and I can work again inside my EC2 instance, and I don't need to worry about if somehow in future if I lost my key. Okay, so if you see here, whatever the files you have, whatever the work you load previously you have, you can access it, because this one we are connected to our main dev environment instance. Okay, so that's it from my side, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you understand something really good, you think you really understand how the EBS volume or EC2 instance work, what happened if you lost your EC2 key pair, and how you can attach and deattach the EBS volume, because EBS volume is nothing, it's just your storage devices, or it's a virtual storage disk, which is basically you just attach it and deattach it based on your work. So we just done the mounting and unmounting from the temporary instance and done it again back. I'm just going to provide my social media links as well, so if you want to connect with me, if you have an issue or you face like some kind of errors you're coming up, just let me know. That's it for today, guys. Hope you guys like the video, and I'm going to see you in the next lecture. Bye.